הולך אני כעת במשעול ההווה, כילד ההולך לו לאיבוד, כפות ידיי מושטות מבקשות את העזרה, להמשיך איתך את המסע. ובצדדים הפרחים כאילו איבדו את זהותם, מחפשים עוד קרן אור שתעזור, או לגימה קטנה של מים ממעייני החוכמה, תביא להם את התקווה. הרים ראשי, אשא עיניי אל ההרים במרחקים, וקולי יישמע כזעקה, כתפילת האדם, וליבי יקרא מאין יבוא עזרי. עובר אני כעת בין נופים חדשים, הצעדים הם נעשים כה איטיים, מה יש שם שאין פה? שאל אותי עובר, מה בלב אתה שומר? קשיש העיר כשעל גבו מונח כל עברו, מביט סביב ומחפש את עולמו, כשההווה כל כך קשה לא אומר דבר, הרים ראשי אל המחר. הרים ראשי, אשא עיניי אל ההרים במרחקים, וקולי יישמע כזעקה, כתפילת האדם, וליבי יקרא מאין יבוא עזרי. אשא עיניי אל ההרים במרחקים, וקולי יישמע כזעקה, כתפילת האדם, וליבי יקרא מאין יבוא עזרי.
The Jewish Time Bomb, פצצת הזמן היהודית ביהודה עמיחי. על שולחני מונחת אבן שכתוב עליה אמן. שבר מצבה שארית מבית קברות יהודי שנחרב לפני כ-1000 שנים בעיר שבה נולדתי. On my desk is a stone with amen carved into it, one survivor fragment of the thousands upon thousands of bits of broken tombstones in Jewish graveyards. I know all these broken pieces now fill the great Jewish time bomb, along with the other fragments and shrapnel, broken tablets of the law. All these broken pieces fill the Jewish time bomb until the end of days. And though I know about all this and about the end of days, the stone on my desk gives me peace. It is the touchstone no one touches, more philosophical than any philosopher's stone, broken stone from a broken tomb, more whole than any wholeness, a stone of witness to what has always been and what will always be, a stone of Amen and love. Amen, Amen, and may it come to pass. Amen, Amen, v'chen yehi ratzon.
Good evening. Our sages refer to Rosh Hashanah, the start of the Jewish New Year, as Yom Hazikaron, the Day of Remembrance. Our wise sages realize how strong the bond is between past and future. A person with no memory, no connection to their past, is disconnected. Such a person cannot accept responsibility for their actions and cannot take part in the ritual coronation of God as the King of the universe, which is one of the central themes of all of Rosh Hashanah. Now, one of the prayers we recite on Rosh Hashanah is, "Thou hast in mind all the works of ancient formation, in thy presence is revealed every hidden thing." The divine memory remembers everything in its entirety, from the beginning of time until the end. It simultaneously recalls and remembers each and every person. Now, there are two sides to remembrance: where we come from, where we're going. To remember all of Israel's battles, from the first one in which we gained our independence to the last one in which we continue to fight for our right to be a free nation in our own country, and why we continue to fight. It is very hard to grasp the big picture and experience the individual sorrow simultaneously, but it must be done. Our nation's officials had good reason to institute Memorial Day, Yom Hazikaron, on the 4th of Iyar, Dal Iyar, the day preceding Independence Day. Yom Hazikaron, Remembrance Day, is a day when we reflect on the price we pay for our freedom. Holocaust Memorial Day, which we commemorated last week, is a reflection on the price we pay if we don't fight for our independence. And the truth is that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. But thanks to that vigilance and true appreciation for those that have fallen, we have the Israel that we have today. And as long as we remember the fallen and empathize with their families and make sure that their sorrow is our sorrow, then we can celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut and celebrate what it means to be truly free. Good evening.
Yom Hazikaron, the Day of Memory, is a day, as expressed in its full name, Yom Hazikaron Lechalelei Ma'alachot Yisrael V'Nifgei Pe'olot HaIva. It's the Memorial Day for the fallen soldiers of Israel and victims of terrorism. Traditionally, the army sends an honor guard to the graves of fallen soldiers. Each fallen soldier watched over by a current soldier of the same unit, paratroopers for paratroopers, tankers for tankers, and so on. Har Herzl, the National Cemetery in Jerusalem, gets quite crowded as families visit their loved ones and are joined by current soldiers. It's a solemn day, but also a day of national unity. Everyone knows at least one person personally who was lost in war. And because of the honor guard and ceremonies across the country, there's also an intergenerational connection. In a strange way, since I joined the army, I looked forward to the opportunity to stand by a fallen soldier's grave on Yom Hazikaron. I guess it's a way to strengthen our connection to Zionism and to each other as a nation. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances, this year the government, understandably, is not allowing any visits to Har Herzl. This means that we all have to work a little bit harder to connect to the day. We will never forget, for there are monuments all across the country, in parks and bases and all sorts of places. We have a lot to be thankful for and to celebrate on Yom Ha'atzmaut, but it's important to remember the day before, on Yom Hazikaron, the cost of Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Gottner. I made Aliyah from Montreal in June of 2017, and I currently serve in the Search and Rescue Brigade. Since the onset of Corona, we've been delivering food around Israel to families who are stuck at home, have suffered economically due to the virus. And we've also been going around and purifying buses, nursing homes, hospitals, any place that has been affected by the virus. And Yom Hazikaron is coming up, and it's going to be my third Yom Hazikaron as an Israeli citizen, but also as an IDF soldier. And in the past, it has always been like the biggest honor and privilege to go to Har Herzl in uniform and really honor all the soldiers who died in the wars. And this is gonna be the first year that I'm not gonna be able to go. Last year was an especially meaningful Yom Hazikaron. I went to the grave of Michael Levine, who was an American lone soldier who was killed in the Second Lebanon War. And he's someone who every lone soldier's heard many stories about him, and there's 3 different lone soldier centers in Israel in his name that his parents started after he died. And I had the honor of meeting his parents and hearing firsthand stories about him. And the fact that his parents won't be able to go to his grave and many other families won't be able to go visit their loved ones is very difficult in these times.
Shalom, from the Holy Land, from the land of Israel. You know, there's actually 2 days on the Jewish calendar that are referred to as Yom Hazikaron. There's Yom Hazikaron, Memorial Day for the fallen soldiers. And then there's Yom Hazikaron, the ancient Yom Hazikaron, which is actually Rosh Hashanah. A lot of people don't know that. The word for Rosh Hashanah, the name of Rosh Hashanah, the new year, in the Torah is actually Yom Hazikaron. But there's a major difference between these 2 Yom Hazikarons. The first Yom Hazikaron, the ancient, the old Yom Hazikaron of Rosh Hashanah, is where we are asking God to remember us. On this Yom Hazikaron, on Yom Hazikaron of the State of Israel, on Yom Hazikaron where we remember the fallen soldiers, God is asking us to remember ourselves. Whereas before the State of Israel, the focus of a Jew was to find grace in the eyes of God, after the State of Israel, a Jew wants to find grace in our own eyes, what we have accomplished, what we have done as human beings. We finally took our history into our own hands. And thus, to remember the fallen soldiers is to remember and respect and salute and give honor to those who helped bring in and continue to help bring in this unprecedented period in Jewish history. History where after 2 millennia, we finally took our fate into our own hands. On Yom HaZikaron, whether we're remembered by God or not is beside the point. What's important on Yom HaZikaron is whether we remember ourselves, that ultimately it's on our own hands. And our soldiers gave the ultimate sacrifice and taught us that it is in our own hands. Yehi Zichram Baruch, may their memory be a blessing.
My name is Johnny Jabron, and I'm a survivor of the Holocaust. I'm lighting the memorial candle in the memory of the 23,816 fallen soldiers and victims of terror. May their memory be blessing.
Our names are Marcel and Marela Zielinski. We are survivors of the Shoah. We are lighting this memorial candle in the memory of Joshua Jason Friedberg. Jason, a Montreal graduate of Herzliya High School, was an exemplary soldier in the elite Golani Brigade. He was murdered on March 7, 1993, on his way to take officer's exam. His body was found at the Shaare junction of the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway. He is survived by his father Herb and his siblings Jennifer and David. Jason's mother passed away in 2014. Jason was 24 years old when he was killed. May his memory be a blessing.
My name is Sidney Zoltak, and I'm a Holocaust survivor. I'm lighting this memorial candle in memory of Shalom Tepper, a survivor. As of Auschwitz and Majdanek, and a former partisan who immigrated to Israel in 1946. Shalom Tepper was a member of the Haganah, and he served in Battalion 33 of the Alexander Brigade. He fell in defense of the State of Israel in the War of Independence. May his memory be a blessing.
My name is Eva Cohen, March of the Living co-chair. I am lighting this memorial candle in honor of Rina Schnurr. Rina was murdered by a roadside bomb on August 23, 2019, while hiking with her father Eitan and her brother Beth-El. Rina was 17 years old. May her memory be a blessing.
My name is Bobby Teitelman, co-chair of March of the Living 2020. I am lighting this memorial candle in memory of Devir Sorek. Devir was fatally stabbed on August 7, 2019, on his way from his yeshiva to Jerusalem to purchase a book for his teacher that he planned to give him as a gift. Devir is survived by his parents and 5 siblings. His grandfather was a Holocaust survivor and was murdered by a Palestinian militant during the Second Intifada. Devir was 18 years old when he was murdered. May his memory be a blessing.
So we are the White House 5, and we are lighting a memorial candle together with our March of the Living 2020 co-chaperones and everybody that wasn't able to attend the March of the Living this year. And we are lighting in memory of Ari Feld. Ari was murdered by a terrorist on September 16th, 2018. He was stabbed in the back while doing a grocery order before the Yom Kippur holiday. With vital organs severed, Ari managed to unholster his weapon, chase the terrorist, jump over a wall, and neutralize him, no doubt saving other lives in the terrorist's path. Ari died at the scene shortly thereafter. Ari was 40 years old and leaves behind his wife Miriam and their 4 children. May his memory be a blessing. Ari, we light these candles in your honor.
My name is Gabi Cohen, and I'm lighting this candle in the memory of my uncle Imre Kraus, who fell in the 6-day war in the Battle of the Golan Heights. May his memory be a blessing.
My name is Shani Oradutan, and I am lighting this memorial candle in memory of my cousin, Eyal Miki Cohen. Miki was born and raised in Beersheba. He had a special combination of wisdom, wit, and humor. He was an exceptional athlete, and he loved his parents, Naomi and Moshe, his 2 older siblings, Shaul and Galit, and his dog, Lucky. Mickey served in Battalion 52 of the Armored Corps, and he was on track for 10 Commander's course. Mickey fell on November 27, 1998, in Lebanon. He was 20 years old. May his memory be a blessing. Yehi Zichro Baruch.
My name is Malka Witt, and I made Aliyah in the summer of 2019. I'm currently doing my national service with B'nai Akiva in Jerusalem. I'm lighting this memorial candle in memory of Zecharia Baumel. On June 10, 1982, Zecharia Baumel's tank unit was ambushed during the Battle of Sultan Yaqub during the First Lebanon War. Zecharia was unaccounted for, and he was declared missing for 37 years. His family never gave up hope that Zecharia would be repatriated to Israel, although his father, who passed away in 2009, never saw the day. Zechariah's remains, together with his uniform and boots, were finally repatriated to Israel on April 3, 2019, and he was interred among the other heroes at the National Military Cemetery on Har Herzl. Zechariah was 22 years old when he fell in battle. May his memory be a blessing.
My name is Asher Tannenbaum, and I'm lighting this memorial candle in memory of Moshe Agadi. Moshe was killed on May the 5th, 2019, when a rocket from the Gaza Strip hit his home in Ashkelon. He was standing in his backyard when the rocket hit. Moshe was from a family of 14 children that immigrated to Israel from Iran. He was a grocer in the Ashkelon food market. Moshe is survived by his wife and 4 children, and he was 58 years old when he was killed. May his memory be a blessing.
Hi everyone, my name is Miriam Fuld. I'm here to speak to you about my husband Ari. Ari's life was an inspiration. He constantly tried to inspire others to teach them about Israel, about the Jewish people, about our courage and our greatness. He would join Herb Friedberg every year at March of the Living in Israel on Yom Hazikaron and speak to the group and give them a sense of what it means to be a proud Jew living in Eretz Yisrael. I'd like to tell you a bit about who Ari was. Ari came to Israel in 1991 after high school. He went to yeshiva in the Old City because this was the closest place to Har Bayit, to the Temple Mount. He notified his parents that he would not be returning to the United States and he was staying in Israel. In August of 1992, Ari drafted into the Golani Brigade of the IDF. It was there that he met Yoshua Friedberg, another lone soldier serving in the same unit. After Yoshua was brutally kidnapped and killed by Arab terrorists, Ari made it a mission to tell his story and to spread the word. We are here, we are not afraid. Ari came from a long line of Zionists. Ari's grandfather, from his father's side, was a general in the German army. After the First World War, he was stripped of his uniform and all of his medals just for being Jewish. 1938 was Kristallnacht. Ari's grandparents knew something was wrong and managed to get themselves on a boat and make it safely to the United States. But others were not as fortunate. Ari's grandmother from his mother's side was in Budapest, Hungary. Her first husband was taken away and later killed by Hungarian border guards. Ari's grandmother was taken to Auschwitz and suffered terrible horrors, but somehow she survived. After the war, she went back to Budapest to find any surviving family members, and she found a cousin whose wife and 2 children had been killed in the gas chambers. He himself had been saved by Raoul Wallenberg, and they got married. When Ari was growing up, his grandmother would always tell him stories of bravery, tell him how lucky they were to be free and how proud she was to be a Jew. From her 1 daughter, she now had 5 grandsons, and she would always say that each one was worth $1 million. At age 78, after her 3rd husband had passed away, Ari's grandmother moved to Israel. When Ari was serving in the army, he would visit her in her tiny apartment in Netanya, where she was so proud to see him in his IDF uniform. On September 16th, 2018, 2 days before Yom Kippur, Ari was walking through a parking lot on his way to the supermarket. A 16-year-old Arab jumped out from between the cars and stabbed Ari in the back. The wound was lethal, but Ari, sensing danger to other people, turned and started to chase his attacker, who was running towards the entrance of the nearby mall with intent to wound and kill more. Ari managed to shoot and wound the terrorist, and only when he saw others holding the terrorist at gunpoint, he knew no one else was going to get hurt. Only then did he allow himself to fall and rest. Ari's wounds were too severe. The knife had sliced into his lung and severed his artery, and he died on the way to the hospital. Ari's actions are a lesson to all of us. Ari died the way that he lived, fighting for justice, protecting his fellow man, and fighting for the truth. Ari has hundreds of videos and messages online on social media. No one can say it better, so I always like to use Ari's own words. In a speech to yeshiva kids, Ari says, Israel is not something to be bargained with or to be played with. Never take Israel for granted, ever, ever, ever.
And I want to pray also for the people in Israel to be safe. And I want to ask Kadosh Baruch Hu, I want to ask God to please give us the strength and courage to make the right decisions and to be able to eradicate those who want to destroy us. And remember one thing, we're not living in fear. We are not living in fear. Those days are over, around 80 years ago. So I'm a very proud Israeli Jewish person. Very proud. And those creeps, terrorists, will not instill in me fear. Signing off, Ari Fold. Take care. God bless everyone.
On this day, Yom Hazikaron, we remember 23,816 fallen soldiers, men, women, and children. Because of them, we are here. Because of them, we can live. Am Chofshi Be'artzeinu, as a free people, a free nation in our land. This land is ours. Yehi Zichram Baruch.
I want to start by thanking Cantor Stotland, Rabbi Glazer, and the entire Shaare Zion congregation for really putting this dignified ceremony together. For the last few years, I've had the immense privilege of being in Israel, together with Cantor Stotland, with Herb Friedberg, who I know is participating tonight, and the students of the March of the Living. And it's always emotional to be in Israel for Yom Hazikaron. You can see, you can feel the expressions of sadness everywhere. I've been spoiled. I usually get up on stage to speak, and in front of me, I see 250 students, chaperones, educators, and I see the front rows filled with our precious Holocaust survivors on one side and the IDF soldiers, most of whom are the products of our community, on the other side. It's the convergence of the past, the present, and the future of the Jewish people. We don't have that this year, secluded in our homes, but I want to thank Cantor Stotland for getting us as close as possible to our brothers and sisters in Israel with this ceremony. I have 2 uniforms in my closet that I'm very proud of. First is my March of the Living jacket that I wore in 1992 and have proudly worn a few times since. It hangs right next to a second uniform that I'm extremely proud of. It's my IDF uniform. While I do not dare to put it on anymore, I have to admit that sometimes, especially on days like today, I take the uniform out of the closet. I just stare at it, not because it looks cool, but because of what it stands for, because of the pride and admiration that I have for the people who have worn that uniform both before and after me. I drafted into the army in 1994 as a lone soldier, meaning I had no family in Israel. I didn't serve in a fancy unit. It was a simple blue-collar tank unit. I was the driver. My gunner was a grandson of Holocaust survivors. My loader was a son of immigrants from Yemen, and my commander was a Jew born in Morocco. There were those challenging times in the army with a barely passable Hebrew, a little bit out of shape, the discipline, the wake-ups, the marathon hikes, I often questioned to myself, what am I doing? I was getting reports from my friends in Vanier and Dawson and Marianopolis. They were living the life, it seemed. And there I was, struggling just to get by. And then I had my epiphany moment. It was a Thursday night in the winter. We were on our base in Eilat, just outside Eilat, and our commander came in and gave us the good news that we would be going home that weekend. We woke up early Friday morning, finished servicing our tanks, got on the bus, and made our way back up to Jerusalem. Shabbat was early. By the time we pulled into Jerusalem, stores were closing. I lived in an apartment with 4 other lone soldiers. I wasn't worried about getting food for Shabbat. Our freezer was always stocked, but I was worried about my clothes. I said to myself, if I don't find a place to clean my clothes, I'm going back Sunday morning with the same dirty clothes that I just wore for the last 2 weeks. I walked into a dry cleaner just across the street from my apartment. The owner, small, I thought was a Russian gentleman, stocky man with a kippah. You shook his hand, it felt like your hands were enveloped in cement. And he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing? I'm about to close." He motioned to me to leave my bag. I left my bag. Sunday morning, I woke up bright and early, was prepared to go pick up my clothing that I hoped had been laundered. I opened the door to my apartment, and lo and behold, I saw my bag was there, neatly folded, all the clothes packed for me. This went on a couple of weeks, couple of times, and finally, Shabbat got later, I had more time. I went into his store, and I said, "You know what? You've been giving me a great service. I want to pay you. I want to repay you back. How much do I owe you?" And he looked at me. And he said, I know you're here alone." He said, "I know you came here alone. I also came here alone." He rolled up his sleeve and he showed me the numbers on his arms. And he said, "You know where your parents are." He says, "I don't. My parents were incinerated in Auschwitz or Treblinka." He said, "And the opportunity that you give me to launder your uniform brings honor and dignity to their memory." Whenever I missed home, whenever I faced a challenge, or whenever I just needed some inspiration, I thought of my dry cleaner friend, and that's how I got through. Another story that I want to share with you tonight is something that happened to us in basic training. Our unit was late for a roll call. Our sergeant, whose primary role it is to instill army discipline, punished us. He punished us bad. He made us run for hours on end in the hopes that we would understand what we did and not be late anymore. After we finished our punishment, we were completely broken and exhausted, and it was time to eat. So we entered the mess hall. We literally ransacked the buffet that was waiting for us. Sergeant walked in, immediately saw what was going on. He stopped us midway through our lunch, and he said, "Put down your cutlery and meet me outside." Met him outside. He ended up running us again for another hour, although this time the painful part was we didn't know why we were being punished. We didn't know what we did wrong. After the punishment was over, he explained to us, he said, "You see, you guys went in, you ate, you ransacked the buffet, but what you forgot is that you have 2 guys in your unit that are in the infirmary, and they're going to come out soon, and they're going to want to eat just like you. And what are they going to have? They're going to have scraps of schnitzel that's left for them." He taught us that day that the bond and the obligation to look out for each other doesn't start on the battlefield. It starts here, when you sleep, when you walk, when you talk, and even when you eat. It is something that soldiers understand. It is something that Roy Klein, a major in the Golani Brigade, understood. Roy served in the Second Lebanon War, and his unit was involved in a battle near a town in Lebanon called Binchbil. As his unit took cover behind a wall, Roy saw that an enemy had lobbed a grenade over the wall. Roy did something that only superheroes in Hollywood movies do. He jumped on the grenade in order to muffle the blast, sacrificed himself to save the lives of the soldiers under his command. As he jumped on the grenade, he screamed, "Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad." And then he gave final instructions to his soldiers to administer first aid to another injured soldier. And then he took his last breath. We have no shortage of heroes. And in the short time that we have, I'd like to speak about two. You know, there's a basketball jersey that used to hang at Herzliya in Saint Laurent. I don't know where it is now. I assumed it's still hanging somewhere in the new campus. But the person who wore that basketball jersey, Jason Friedberg, Yeshua Friedberg, as he was known in Israel, was one heck of a basketball player. But he was also a heck of a warrior, friend, and most importantly, a mensch. He came to Israel at a time when Scud missiles were falling on Israel. Airport was empty, kind of like today. When his plane landed, there was a reporter at the airport interviewing passengers. And she said to him, she says, why would you come to Israel at this time? And we're in the middle of a Gulf War and Scud missiles are falling. Jason's response was, when your house is on fire, you don't run away from it, you run to it. That was Jason. Most of the lone soldiers, myself included, always needed pushing. We were the ones in the back of the line, but not Jason. He pulled. He was in the front of the line. When we had our weekends off, we would usually go to our apartments and just veg. Nobody would see us for 24 hours. Jason's first stop was at Machon Meir, the yeshiva that we studied at. He would walk into the study hall to the Beit Midrash. He would put down his bag. He would put down his gun, and he would walk around to all the foreigners in the study hall and say, what are you learning? What Torah portion are you learning? What Talmud are you learning? Can I sit down and learn with you? That was Jason. Just commanded respect. Last year for our March of the Living ceremony, I reached out to Jason's captain, Yuval Golan, and I asked him, I said, Yuval, we're doing a ceremony. Mr. Friedberg is going to be there. Karen Froelich, Jason's fiance, is going to be there. And I said, would you come and join us and maybe light a candle and maybe say a few words? He said, Lawrence, let me call you back in 2 minutes. He called me back in 2 minutes. He said, we're coming. I said, Yuval, what do you mean we? Who's coming? He says, oh, the entire unit. We're all coming. 29 of them came without missing a beat to pay their respect to Herb and to show the bond that they had with Jason is still alive and very strong. In early March of 1993, Jason was recommended by his commanders for officers training. He didn't tell anyone. He did what all soldiers did back then. He hitchhiked his way to officers' school, to the officers' course, although he never reported in at the end of the day. The car he got into were terrorists disguised as Hasidim. When the news of Jason's disappearance spread, the study halls in Jerusalem cleared out and everyone was involved in the search for him. First, we found his tefillin on the side of the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway, and shortly thereafter, a member of his unit found Jason's body near the Shaare Junction, the junction that I'm sure you've all passed many times. There's now a memorial stone and a nice paved road on the spot where Jason's body was found. I know that Herb is on this call, and I know that I say this every year. And I know the passing of time offers no consolation. But I hope that you, Jennifer, and David find a small measure of comfort in knowing that Jason's legacy will be perpetuated by a whole new generation of Montreal Jews, thanks to ceremonies like these and thanks to initiatives such as the IDF food truck that was recently dedicated in the memory of Jason and, of course, his unit mate, Ari Fold. Ari, as some of you know, was a fixture at our March of the Living ceremonies. He took it upon himself to ensure that Jason's legacy continued. He organized the annual Askara at Jason's grave in Herzl, and he was with her from the time Herb landed in Israel in Yom Hazikaron until the time he left. We miss them both very much. Not just today, but every day. The hardest part about not being in Israel tonight is not being able to speak to the soldiers, to listen to their stories, to learn about their loved ones, to share in their grief, to ask a soldier what it was like when they first heard the words Perach or Hardof, code for injured or fallen soldiers on the encode field videos. I remember the first time I heard it while sitting in our tanks at an outpost in the security zone in Lebanon. I will never forget the stillness and the silence as all radio communication just stopped. Who was it? How did it happen? Who will tell the family? As my rabbi says, we don't need CNN, BBC, or the CBC to tell us about the boys and girls who wear the uniform of the IDF. We know them better than anybody. We know that they are fierce warriors, but only because our enemies have forced that on them. We also know that when they go to battle, they go with taharat haneshek, with purity of arms. We know that the same soldiers that defend us on land, at sea, in the air, and in cyberspace are the same soldiers that will drop everything and pack food for elderly Holocaust survivors, as they have done last week. We know that the same soldiers that will get on a plane and fly halfway around the world to Uganda to rescue hijacked Jews are also the same soldiers who will fly into natural disaster zones and set up the most advanced field hospitals. And I'm just going to share one last story with you before we close. I don't know if he's on the call or not. My friend Jay Greenbaum, who's a veteran of March of the Living and Birthright trips, was leading a Birthright trip a few years ago. He gets in the taxi in Montreal on the way to the airport, and the driver asks him, "Where are you traveling to?" Jay tells him, "I'm going to Israel." Driver stops the car and he looks at him, and Jake is at this point bracing for a debate or, God forbid, worse, have a fight. And the cab driver looks at him and he says, I was born in Haiti, and we were always taught that Israelis were not the nicest people. But then we had an earthquake. And during that earthquake, my grandmother, who I love very much, fell and hit her head. She needed brain surgery, and our infrastructure, our hospitals were literally crumbling before us. But all of a sudden, an Israeli Hercules jet landed, and within 48 hours, a field hospital was set up. They did brain surgery on my grandmother, and they saved her life. When you needed the world, no one was there for you. But you're there for us. To my Israeli friends listening in tonight, or mourning for you actually, we grieve with you tonight. We mourn with you, and tomorrow, although a great distance separates us, and although stuck in our homes, we will celebrate with you. Know that we will celebrate for Roe, for Jason, for Ari, for 23,816 others, because it is only because of them that we have what to celebrate. Thank you again, Cantor Stotland, for organizing this ceremony. It is now my honor to invite Herb Friedberg to say a few words.
Hi, my name is Herb Friedberg. I'm the father of Yeshua Friedberg, who was in the IDF, and on Purim 1993, he was hitchhiking for officers' tests in Tel Shemer, and he was killed. I'm going to tell you a few stories about him that will magnify his characteristics. Number one, when I went to see him at Tel Shomer, his friends were all there, and one of them took me aside and said, "Mr. Friedberg, I have to tell you a story." I said, "What story?" He said that people would lend money from Yeshua. I said, they did? Yeah. He seemed to have money. I said, well, I was sending him money, but I didn't think that was what it was for. And he said every time someone lent money, he'd mark down 500 shekels, and when they weren't looking, he'd cross it off. And when they came to pay him, he'd open the book and say, "No, it's paid." And the guy would argue with me. He said, "Look, I'm sorry. I keep very meticulous records, and you've paid. So thank you for coming, but goodbye." So basically, he was allowing me to give charity without knowing who I was giving it to and where it's coming from, which is the highest form of charity. That's number one story, which I never knew about that. His friend told me. At the funeral, we were standing around there, of course, in shock. And there was one fellow with a black kapata and a black hat, and he was climbing on trees, climbing over people, making a lot of noise. He just wanted to get near the grave. And he couldn't, because there was army, there was friends, and he kept climbing, and finally he landed a spot very near. Funeral took place. It's over. I'm going into the army car. My wife and my kids are going into the army car to go back to the hotel where we're going to sit Shiva before we leave for home. And the guy runs up to me, this guy, Mr. Friedberg, I lent money from Yeshua. He lent me $1,000. I paid him back 500, and here's the other 500. I said, no, I don't know who you are. Just, if it's true, just give the money to charity. Anyway, a couple months later, I'm looking through pictures and I see Jason on someone's shoulders at a party, and there's also a video attached to the picture. I put the video in VHS, and there he is, and he's the best man at this fellow's wedding. This is the guy who drove a motorcycle with black leather jacket and pants, and he forgot his Yiddishkeit. Jason brought him back, became his best man, and here he was dancing at his wedding. So it's just amazing, that you hear these stories about your son who you haven't seen, and he was always trying to do good, I hear. Anyway, best to all of you, and stay safe. Am Yisrael Chai.
חודשיים במהלך צילומי כתבה על הכנה לגיוס פגש כתבנו עוזי בלומר קבוצת חיילים מגולני ושוחח איתם. אחד מהם הוא יהושע פרידברג, זיכרונו לברכה, החייל שנרצח ביריות וגופתו נמצאה בסוף השבוע סמוך לירושלים. הנה הדברים לזכרו.
אתה זורק אותם? אוקיי, בסדר, אני לא הייתי בחוץ לארץ, אז כל הנושא הזה של צבא וכו' זה כאילו חדש. אז כשהגעתי לארץ, מה שעשיתי, פחות או יותר, אני ידעתי שהייתי צריך לגייס באיזשהו שלב. אז שמעתי על איזושהי תוכנית שכאילו נותן לך טירונות שבועיים, ואחר כך אתה עושה שמירות וכו'. אז מה שעשיתי, עשיתי את התוכנית הזאת. זה היה שבועיים אינטנסיבי כזה רצוף של כאילו טירונות קרבי. וממש אני הרגשתי שעכשיו, אחרי שעברתי את כל הטירונות הזה, אני מרגיש ואני חושב שזה ממש מתאים, או כאילו דוגמה טובה, מה שקורה פה בצבא בקרבי לפחות. אז אולי זה רעיון טוב גם לאנשים אחרים שרוצים לראות בדיוק מה זה, כאילו לעשות תוכנית כזו. כן, זה היה, קוראים לזה שומר ישראל, או בישראל שלהם בירושלים. זה גם רוב האנשים שעושים את זה, זה מחוצניקים, אבל היו ישראלים גם, כן.
רחמים שוכן ומרומים המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה ומעלות קדושים טהורים וגיבורים כזוהר הרקיע מאירים ומזהירים לנשמות חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל ולוחמי המחתרות שנפלו במלחמות ישראל וכל הלוחמים במערכותם שחרפו נפשם למות על קדושת השם ובעזרת אלוהי מערכות ישראל הביאו לתקומת האומה והמדינה ולגאולת הארץ ועיר אלוהים וכל אלה שנרצחו בארץ ומחוצה לה בידי המרצחים ארגוני הטרור לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים וייצר אור ויצר רוח החיים את נשמתם אדוני הוא נחלתם בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימין, ונאמר אמן.
קדיש ליחיד, סידור רב עמרם גאון. על הכל יתגדל וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, שמו של מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בעולמות שברא, העולם הזה והעולם הבא, כרצונו כרצון כל עמו ישראל. צור העולמים, אדון כל הבריות, אלוה כל הנפשות, היושב במרחבי מרום, השוכן בשמי שמי קדם, קדושתו על כיסא הכבוד, וקדושתו על החיות, ובכן יתקדש שמו בנו, לעיני כל חי, ונאמר אמן.
כל עוד בלבב פנימה, נפש יהודי הומיה, ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין ציון צופיה. עוד לא התקווה בשנות 2000, להיותם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיותם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים.
שלא יחזור אלייך, שלחי אותו מלא ללכת למקומו, להשיב עולים הכפופות ברוח, מלא לחלוץ את נעליו, לרוץ להשתובב עם הרוח, מלא לשרוק ולזמר, לדלג על אבני דרך, מלא לחיות כפי שחי, אל תתעצבי יודעת, אהובך לא יחזור אליי. שלחי אותו מלא ללכת לחופשי, אף כי יודעת את שלא יחזור אלייך. שלחי אותו מלא ללכת למקומו, לשיבולים הכפופות ברוח. ציפור לדרום אהובך לא יחזור, שלחי אותו, תני לו ללכת לחופשי, אף כי יודעת את שלא יחזור אלייך. שלחי אותו, תני לו ללכת למקומו, לשיבולים הכפופות ברוח.
שב ילדי שב, אל תלך עכשיו, תן לנשום אותך עוד רגע עוד קצת. שב ילדי שב, כי עכשיו נחמד, יש שקט ואני איתך לבד. וכשתלך תזכור תמיד לשמור על עצמך מאנשים קשים אשר עומדים במסלולך. אל תפחד, מעל ראשך יש מלאכים, ואתה תמיד תהיה גיבור של אמא. אתה תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות בזיכרונות. לכל מקום שלא תלך תהיה של אמא, תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות בזיכרונות. תמיד תהיה שלי. לך ילדי לך, תיזהר מעט, קח את ברכתי, את תפילתי איתך. אל תשכח בני, אמא כאן בשבילך, אז לך תגשים את כל חלומותיך. וכשתלך תזכור תמיד לשמור על עצמך מאנשים קשים אשר עומדים במסלולך. אל תפחד, מעל ראשך יש מלאכים, ואתה תמיד תהיה גיבור של אמא. אתה תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות בזיכרונות. לכל מקום שלא תלך תהיה של אמא, תמיד תהיה לי מלך העולם, תמיד עם החיוך הכי מושלם, כמו בתמונות בזיכרונות. תמיד אהיה שלך.
לא אפחד כי לעולם איני בודד, לא אאבד כי לצידי תמיד עומד אל גדול ונורא אשר במות אפיו ברא עולמות ונשמות ואת ארצו היחידה. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לבדי, לא ירא לא אפחד, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, ולא אהיה יותר ירא, כי שומר עליי קוני. לא אכנע מכל מכשול, מכל בחינה, ראשי ענר, כך אקבץ צרה לעזרה ומחילה, ואל שומע תפילה. אם נבקש ונתעקש, תעלה תפילתנו כעולה. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לבדי, לא ירא לא אפחד, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, ולא אהיה יותר ירא, כי שומר עליי קוני. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לבדי, לא ירא לא אפחד, כי אתה עמדי. המה ינחמוני, ולא אהיה יותר ירא, כי שומר עליי קוני.
החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, כי חסדך גדול עליי, כי חסדך גדול עליי, והצלת, אוי הצלת נפשי, לשאול תחתיה. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת. גדולת ימינך תתיר רוח, קבל רינה עמך סגבנו, תארנו אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר רוח, קבל רינת עמך סגבנו, תארנו לגיבור דורשי ניחומך, כבבא שורם רחם תארם, רחמי צדקתך במדרון בן חסין קדוש ברוב טובך נהל עדיך, דרכים גאה לעמך פני זוכה קדושתך, שבתנו נראה ושמע צעקתנו, יודע גדולת ימינך תתיר רוח, קבל רינת עמך סגבנו,